Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to move data from a table in a PureData for Analytics system, PDA, also known as Netezza, to a Db2 warehouse on cloud, formerly known as -db, using the Lift CLI and Database Conversion Workbench. So let's get started. First, you need to download the Lift CLI and the Database Conversion Workbench for the operating system of your choice. For that, we are going to visit the Lift CLI homepage at lift.ng.bluemix.net. This page contains a wealth of information in addition to providing the install images. There are 3 supported operating systems: Linux, Mac, and Windows. For production purposes, we recommend using the Linux version. However, for this demo, I am choosing the Mac version. We are prompted to log in using our IBM Cloud account or to create a new one. To be able to download the Lift CLI, you must have an IBM Cloud account. In this video, I am going to go through the steps of creating a trial account. A new tab opens where a new account is registered. Use an email that you have access to. After entering the email, it is checked if an account for it exists already. If you already have an IBM ID registered with the email and you use it to create an IBM Cloud account, you won't need to enter the additional information that's displayed below. Otherwise, proceed to enter the requested information, and once complete, click the Create Account button. You will be asked to solve a CAPTCHA. Once you solve the CAPTCHA, you will receive a confirmation email to complete the registration, which looks like this. Click on Confirm Account to finalize the account creation. Once complete, go back to the Lift CLI homepage tab, and now we can log in with the account. Next up are terms of use to which we agree. Once that is complete, we will see that we get presented with a token, and the download occurs shortly thereafter. Depending on the browser you use, you may see a pop-up on how to proceed with the download. The token we will need later for the installation of the Lift CLI. You can also verify the download image by following the instructions, which I will not do at this time. So now we're going to go ahead and install the Lift CLI. First, I'm going to unzip the installation image that was downloaded. And then I'm switching into the Lift CLI install folder. In it, there is an install script that takes as command input the location of where the CLI will be installed. Here I'm going to install it into the demo folder under the subfolder Lift CLI. And now we have to provide the token that was displayed earlier. So we copy it and paste it in, and the installation continues. Now, if you want to use the lift command from any path, then you need to add the bin path of the installation directory into your path environment variable of the terminal shell. I will not do that, but that is just additional information on what you can do. With that out of the way, let's begin the data movement. Any data movement between PDA to Db2 warehouse on cloud is going to be broken into 3 separate phases where the Lift CLI is used. However, one prerequisite for completing the data movement is to have the target table in the target database as a container for the data. While it's not needed at the beginning, one should extract the DDL from the source for the table intended to get moved. Check that there will be no target SQL compatibility issues, and create the target tables as desired prior to starting the data movement. In our case, the source is PDA, and we need to extract the SQL and convert it to Db2 compatible SQL. And for this, we're going to use the Database Conversion Workbench. Now we're going back to the Lift CLI homepage and download the Database Conversion Workbench. The download is slightly below the download for the Lift CLI. Again, I'm going to download the Mac install image. If you already have the target DDL, then you will not need to do this step. I've already downloaded DCW, and I'm going to unzip the install image. The new files that are created is the full DCW client and 2 PDFs, one of them being the quick start guide and the other being the conversion guide from PDA to Db2 warehouse on cloud. Please refer to these documents for detailed usage of the DCW product outside of this demo. Now we're going to go ahead and unzip the full client and attempt to start DCW. However, this will fail due to a known issue that is documented on the DCW web pages, and thus we will need to start DCW manually, and for that I'm going to use the terminal and going through the installation path where we unzipped the client into and where the dcw.app resides. dcw.app is actually a directory, and we can go into the contents macOS subdirectory where we will see the dcw executable itself and run that. Then we get asked to create a workspace because dcw is based on Eclipse, and I will change it such that the workspace is outside of the dcw.app directory. So now we've manually started the app, and we can select getting started with the database conversion workbench. As you can see, there are a number of steps that you can do to extract SQL and also do some data movement. However, for the data movement, we'll use the lift CLI. We only want to use DCW to make sure that our SQL extracted from PDA is compatible with the Db2 SQL. And otherwise, if not, fix it. Now, DCW can extract the source schema using an SSH user. Before we get there, I will create a new database conversion project and name it, our source being PDA and our target Db2 warehouse. And from this project, we have the capability to extract the DDL directly from the PDA using, as mentioned, an SSH connection with an user that has access to the PDA system and can run the nzddl script. However, as you can see, this dialog does not allow you to select a schema that is within the database. And in this demo, I am using a source table that is not in the default schema, which is called admin. So you can only use this dialog to extract all the objects within the admin default schema for the database selected, or all the databases that were selected. Thus, I'm going to use the command line and manually extract all the objects for the schema that contains the source table that I want to move. So I'm going to run the SSH command manually, use it to run the nzddl, and extract the DDL for the objects in the schema. The schema that is being used is tpch. So first, SSH, nz user, and the host name of the PDA source system. And now the command that I want to run. And I provide the path to the nzddl script, the database name, and the schema that I want to extract the database objects from. And then I'm rerouting the output into a file. Once this completes, we will load the resulting file into DCW, and then we'll take a look at it. For that, I'm going to use the import file system from directory where we created the file, which is our demo directory, and we select it. And we can open it via double-clicking it. And now we can see all the DDL that was contained within the schema tpch. That is all the objects that nzddl extracted for this schema. The table that I want to move is tpch.customer. Now we could go ahead and check compatibility for this DDL file. And of course, if you were to move all the objects and all the tables within the tpch schema, you can do that at this time and then use that resulting output to know whether or not this SQL is compatible, and then use this to create the target tables. In this scenario, I'm just going to copy the DDL for the customer table into a new SQL file that I'm going to create by right-clicking on the project name, new SQL file. I'm going to name it customer.sql. And I will perform all the steps on this file. Now, as mentioned before, DCW can check the compatibility of the SQL that was extracted from the PDA source system. And you do that by right-clicking on the file, database conversion, and then evaluate compatibility. And so we can do this for this file. And the result is this customer report HTML file, which we will open. And then it will tell us that our SQL is 100% compatible. Now, this may not be the case for your SQL, and then you have various options on how to proceed to generate compatible SQL. One option is to use database conversion convert code, or you can manually change, of course, the SQL as it was extracted here. Now that we have compatible SQL, there are two ways to apply the DDL to our target system. One is to simply copy the DDL and use the target system console, for example. Another option is to create a new database connection to the target system and then run the DDL file from within DCW. In this scenario, I'm going to copy the DDL. If the DDL file was a little bit larger, then I would probably create a database connection. So I'm copying the DDL, and I go to the console of my target system, which I'm already logged into, and going to copy it in here. Now, I don't want to use the TPCH schema as the target schema, and instead I'm going to change that to the schema that I want, and I'm also going to create a drop table statement to make sure that we get a fresh table. And then I'm going to run these two commands. Now our table was created. Now we can move on to finally move the data, now that everything is in place to do so. For that, I'm going back to the command line from which we run the lift CLI. Any data movement between PDA to Db2 Warehouse on Cloud is going to be broken into 3 separate phases. The first phase is to extract a CSV file from PDA to the local disk. So that is all the data that is contained within the table customer. The phase 2 is about transferring the file to the Db2 Warehouse on Cloud landing zone. And in the last one, we will load that file from the landing zone into the database. So here we are back at the terminal, and now we're going to run the extract command to extract the source data to the local file system. And for that, I'm going to run the lift extract command. But before we're doing that, we're going into the lift CLI installation directory, so we can run the lift command. Because I did not add it to the path, the extract command, the source schema TPCH as seen before. Source table was customer, and we wanted to go to a customer.csv file, and we're using properties. Now the properties contain the connection information for our source and our target. And what it looks like, I'm going to show in this sample. So you have all the options that the lift CLI takes on the command line. You can use the long version of the option in a key value pair, and you can put it into a properties file for reuse. And here we're going to use the source database, the source user password, the host, and the port for our source system. In this case, the PDA. And then we have our target system information, the host, containing the host, the user, and the password. So now I'm going to run the lift extract command with these properties. The extract command is running. And if you run the lift CLI for the very first time, the first command may take a little bit because it is updating to the latest version at this time. So the extract is about to start now. Here we go. The extract is now complete, and the file is in the landing zone. We're now going to move it to the target landing zone. That is, we're going to upload it to the target system using the put command. And again, we're using the properties file to do so. This will just take a second here. Now that the put is complete, we can load the data into the previously created target table. And for that, we're going to use the load command. And we're going to specify the target schema, target table name that we previously created, the file, the file origin. Now the file origin describes how the data was generated. In this case, we did use the extract PDA. Load can take other options such as user, which means that lift did not extract data, or options such as extract Db2. For a full list of options, we will take a look at the help command later. And then we use our properties file again to pass in the target and system information. Now we can take a look at the target system and see that our data was loaded properly. Just take a quick count, and we can see that yes, the same number of rows that lift CLI said that were loaded are being found in the target table. If you need help with these commands, you can run the help, and it gives you an overview about the lift CLI, which commands are supported. And if you need specific help with a command, you run the lift, then the command, and the help. So for load, for example, to get all the load options, you get this output. Load supports two syntaxes, for example. One is for the file origin user, and the other is for the file origin, anything that extracted or was extracted by lift. So you can see different file origins. For syntax 1 and for syntax 2, the file origin is user. Because of the file origin, there are different additional optional parameters. In addition to the help provided with the lift command itself, resources can be found on the lift.ng-bluemix.net page that we had visited earlier. The information can be found under the docs link, where we have various sections such as Get Started, that helps with the initial step of a data migration, the command reference, as you would find it via also the lift help command, FAQs that answer commonly asked questions, as well as the community help, where you have access to Stack Overflow, as well as the IBM Cloud Service portal, where you can open problem tickets in case problems cannot be resolved. That concludes the demo, and thank you.